Join ForumIAS Academy, trusted by hundreds of toppers, including IAS Rank 1 Shruti Sharma.
Hello and welcome to ForumIAS. Today is 27th May 2023. All the best for anybody who is writing UPSC Prelims 2023. Today, these are all the 5 articles that we are going to discuss, especially from Prelims point of view. Now, let us move on to the first article. The first article is talking about Indus Waters Treaty. So, the central government says that the state of J&K, they should utilize Indus water effectively. Whatever is India's share in the Indus Waters Treaty, J&K should utilize it to the fullest extent. That is what the center has advised. In this context, we will see what is the Indus Waters Treaty. So basically, if we see here, we have the Indus water and it has the main tributaries Sutlej, Bias, Ravi, Chenab and Jhelum. So out of this, 3 rivers, the northern rivers Indus, Jhelum, Chenab, they are given to Pakistan, and Ravi, Bias and Sutlej, they are given to India. Okay, so the distribution of waters of the Indus and its tributaries between India and Pakistan is governed by the Indus Water Treaty. So it is a inter-country riverine agreement. So this was signed in 1960 between India and Pakistan, and this treaty was brokered by World Bank. So partition that led to this kind of river sharing agreement. With respect to the eastern rivers, that is Sutlej, Bias and Ravi, India has extensive rights. All exclusive rights lie with India. And in the western rivers, that is Chenab, Jhelum and Indus, India's rights over these rivers are limited. So they can set up certain irrigation, run of the river power plants. That means run of the river means these power plants, these hydroelectric power generation plants, they cannot store the water. That is what run of the river power plant means. Very limited storage. They cannot extensively store the waters of Chenab, Jhelum and Indus. Domestic and non-consumptive use. That means you cannot use these river waters for consumption, that is drinking water purposes. Otherwise, enormously these waters will be used by India. Right. So that is why they are clearly demarcating what is the right of India with respect to the western rivers. That is certain irrigation, run of the river power plants, you cannot use it for consumptive use, limited domestic use. So that is clearly delineated in the treaty. So basically, we have this Indus Waters Commission, which is also a body that is formed via this treaty, and it is generally a success story. Whatever has been the conflict between India and Pakistan, we don't have friction with respect to the Indus Waters Treaty. Even in the India-Pakistan War of 1965, at that time also the treaty was operational. So basically this Indus Waters Commission, it plays a very significant role in maintaining the status quo with respect to Indus Waters Treaty. Once every 5 years, so this commission, it conducts a general inspection of all rivers in parts. So over 100 inspections have been conducted so far, and this commission meets regularly once a year. And in these meetings, both the countries can raise objections, but mainly Pakistan will raise objections because India is the upper riparian state. India is upper riparian state. So India has first used India has geographical proximity and power to use. So mostly Pakistan will raise objections with respect to restricted use of these western rivers. If Pakistan feels that India is storing water or India is using the waters of the western rivers for drinking water purposes, in all these cases, Pakistan can raise objections where? At this Indus Water Commission. So this is about the Indus Waters Treaty. We have one more infographic here, but just there is a minor point that we have to note here. So there is Vienna Convention, and under that there is Article 64. So there is a possibility of any of the parties to withdraw from this treaty. It's not 100% non-exitable. Okay, so there is also a possibility and there is a provision to exit the treaty in extraordinary circumstances. Okay, so this treaty is more so vital for Pakistan because it is very important. The Indus River water is very important for agricultural needs in the Punjab and Sindh regions of Pakistan. So basically, Pakistan is the lower riparian state here. So in this context, they have more to gain or more stability to gain from this treaty. So that is why Pakistan is very particular with this treaty. Okay, so that's it about the first article. The rest of the points that are given in this infographic we already studied in the previous slide. So let us move on to the next article. Next article is about the Gaganyaan mission. So what does the news article say? It says that the Indian Navy and ISRO, they have released the Gaganyaan Recovery Training Plan at the Water Survival Training Facility. In this place, they have released this Gaganyaan Recovery Training Plan. So, in this Gaganyaan mission, in 2024, the fourth quarter of 2024, manned mission will be sent to space from India. So, why we need this recovery training plan? It is because of the design of this particular mission. If we see in this, initially, GSLV Mk3 will be used as the launch vehicle, and this particular launch vehicle will carry the orbit module. Okay, so the orbit module, it has two sub-modules. That is, one is the crew module in which the human beings are there, and second is the service module which is powered by two liquid propellant engines. So this orbit module has a service module and a crew module. So this orbit module will remain for 5 to 7 days in space. Once this duration is completed, there will be re-entry of the orbit module, and when it re-enters the Earth's atmosphere, the crew module and the service modules will split. Now we need to recover only the crew, right? So when it enters completely the atmosphere of the Earth, the parachute will be deployed and there will be splashdown of the crew module, which is connected to this parachute in the Arabian Sea off the coast of Gujarat. As usual, it will take off from Sriharikota, and the descent or splashdown of the crew module would be in Arabian Sea. Once the crew splash down in Arabian Sea, how to recover them? That plan has been released now. That is what they are talking about. I hope now you got the clarity. We will see more about the Gaganyaan mission. So, the Gaganyaan mission program's aim is to demonstrate indigenous capacity to undertake human space flight mission to LEO. LEO means low Earth orbit. In comment section, mention what is the height of the lower Earth orbit. Okay, so let us see how many of you know. Okay, so in this particular Gaganyaan mission, there will be two unmanned mission first and then one manned mission. And this one manned mission, in this manned mission, it will take place in the fourth quarter of 2024. Okay, so how many people, how many humans from India are going into space, there will be 3 Indian astronauts, including a woman astronaut. Already I said that they will carry out experiments in the low Earth orbit for 5 to 7 days, and the altitude is 300 to 400 kilometer. That is the extent of low Earth orbit. Already we saw about the payload, and one more speciality is that this particular crew module has a emergency escape and emergency mission abort facility also in case something bad happens. Okay, so already we discussed about the launch vehicle, which is GSLV Mk3. So this is all you need to know from the prelims point of view. So India will be the 4th nation to launch a manned space flight mission after US, Russia and China. So India is the 4th country. Okay, and it is a very economical mission wherein the cost is as less than 10,000 crore rupees. Okay, so it takes place from Sriharikota and it splashed down at Gujarat. Next article. It talks about appointment of new chief justices to the Madras and Bombay High Courts. Okay, so now from this article, what we need to learn, we have to learn the static portion from polity. That is about the appointment of judges. So if we talk straight away, the judges of a high court are appointed by the president. So the chief justice of a high court is appointed by the president after consultation with the chief justice of India and the governor of the concerned state. If it is Madras High Court chief justice, then chief justice of India and the governor of Tamil Nadu, they are consulted before the chief justice of Madras High Court is appointed by the president. Okay, so this is for the chief justice. For other judges, what happens? The chief justice of the concerned high court is also consulted, which means if the other high court judges are to be appointed, then the CJI will be consulted, the governor of that state will be consulted, and the chief justice of that particular high court, he will be consulted. So this is the procedure. But after the third judge's case, if the constitution is indicated that the chief justice of India has to be consulted, it doesn't mean that only one person, the chief justice alone will be consulted. There will be a collegium of 2 senior most judges of the Supreme Court. So, High Court Collegium. High Court Collegium means what? Which collegium will be consulted to appoint the judges of a High Court? So, High Court Collegium, it consists of who? CJI plus 2 judges of Supreme Court. They are the High Court Collegium. Apart from this, the Chief Justice of the High Court is consulted and the governor of that state is consulted. So this is how the appointment is done. And what should be the qualification of a person who is appointed as a judge of a high court? He should be a citizen of India. Then he should have held a judicial office in the territory of India for 10 years, or he should have been an advocate of a high court or high courts in succession for 10 years. So either he must have had a judicial office like subdivisional judicial magistrate. It is a judicial office. Either they should have held that office for 10 years or they should have practiced as a advocate in a high court for 10 years. But in Supreme Court judges, the qualification also has a distinguished jurist. That qualification is not given in qualification for high court judges, which means a distinguished jurist is not eligible for appointment as a high court judge. Now, what is the tenure of the judge? The specific tenure is not given. He will hold the office until he attains the age of 62 years and he can resign his office by writing to the president. Okay. and he can be removed from his office by the president on the recommendation of the parliament. This is a separate procedure and that is for another video. Just remember that only the parliament can recommend for the removal of a high court judge, and depending on that recommendation, the president will remove a high court judge, or he vacates his office when he is appointed as a judge of the Supreme Court, or when he is transferred to another high court. So until this, he will hold this office of judge of high court. And when can there be an acting chief justice? Because in this particular article there is mention of acting chief justice also. So we'll see a little bit about acting chief justice. The president can appoint a judge of a high court as an acting chief justice of a high court when the office of the chief justice of the high court is vacant, or the chief justice of the high court is temporarily absent, or the chief justice of the high court is unable to perform the duties of his office. Under these conditions, to fill that vacuum, the president may appoint any judge of the high court as a acting chief justice. Okay, let's move to the next article. It is talking about SEBI's plan to ease passive fund rules. So basically, it is talking about ETFs. SEBI will soon introduce a new light touch regulatory framework for passively managed mutual funds like exchange traded funds and index funds, which have seen a sharp uptick. So basically, these are passively managed mutual funds, this ETF and index fund. Why they are called as passively managed fund, we will see in the next slide. Just bear with me. So these are passively managed funds. So the SEBI is loosening the regulatory grip. That means they will have reduced compliance requirements. Okay, now we will see what is an ETF, what is an index fund. Okay, so ETF are a sort of investment fund that combines the best features of two kinds of assets, that is mutual funds and also the equities. Equities means what? Share. So shares trade in the stock market. If there is a share of ICICI Bank, you can, if you hold the share of ICICI Bank, you can sell it off, right, anytime. And what is a mutual fund? Mutual fund is when a number of people's money is taken by a fund manager and he will decide where to invest this money. He will see how can I extract more profit. Based on that, this fund manager will invest in a number of options like bonds, equities, wherever he can get very good profit. This is the concept of mutual fund, and this is the concept of share. If the share value raises, you can sell off your share and see the profit. If the share value reduces, you will hold your share and wait till the value increases. Right? So this is the concept of share. The ETF or exchange traded fund, they have the feature of both mutual funds as well as the shares. Okay, the best of both worlds is given by ETF. Okay, so ETF is a collection of investments like mutual funds. This is mutual fund. Like mutual fund, ETF is a collection of investments. So it is a collection of, so the investment is taking place in equities or bonds. ETFs will let you invest in a large number of securities at once and they often have cheaper fees. ETFs are also more easily traded. So in mutual funds, you have to trade at the end of the day. But in case of ETF, like a share, you can sell at any time of the day. So in an ETF, if we take an ETF will have a number of underlying shares. So it might have Yes Bank share, it might have HDFC Bank share, it might have ICICI Bank share, it might have any other bank, Citibank share. So number of banks shares are contained in this exchange traded fund. That is what they meant by collection of investments. So all these shares are the underlying shares of this ETF, and the value of the ETF will be determined depending on the value of the underlying shares. But in mutual fund, at the end of the day, you will get a valuation, then only someone can sell or buy a mutual fund. But ETF can be sold or bought from the share market as such. Next is index fund. As the name suggests, an index mutual fund, it is also a type of ETF only that imitate a stock market index. Like NSE has a Nifty stock market index. It tracks the movement of 50 companies, BSE Sensex. So the value of this fund will also move as per the movement of the Sensex. If the Sensex value is more, the value also increases. If the Sensex falls, index fund value also falls. So these are also passively managed, which means that the fund manager, pay attention here, fund manager invests in the same securities as present in the underlying index, which can be Sensex, which can be Nifty 50. So he will invest in the same securities present in the underlying index in the same proportion and doesn't change the portfolio composition. He'll just invest in. So how is Sensex calculated? Sensex has a number of underlying shares. Okay, number of underlying shares, and each share has some weight. Okay, so based on that, the Sensex value is calculated. If he is just going to mimic the Sensex, he will invest in all the shares which are forming the Sensex in the same weight as the Sensex. That is why it is passively managed. He is not actively determining how many shares I should buy, which company shares I should buy. That he does in mutual fund, actively managed mutual fund. There he will determine which company shares I should buy, how many I should buy to get maximum profit. But in case of index fund, he will not determine all that. He'll just look at the Sensex and he will mimic it. He will buy the same shares which are used in calculation of Sensex with the same weight. Okay, so that is why they are called as passively managed. If it is passively managed, they already have very big companies in the Sensex. So the risk also is very less for the consumers, right? If it is a big company, they have very good fundamentals and they will not swindle off the consumers. So lax regulations. That is why reduced compliance requirements are given for these passively managed mutual funds. Okay. So this is about this article. Let us move to the next article. The last article, it talks about India-Nepal relations. So the Prime Minister of Nepal, Prachanda, he is visiting India for 4 days and there will be a lot of outcomes that are expected from this visit. But we will know more about it when the visit actually takes place. This just talks about speculation. In this context, we will see some geography points related to Nepal. So first of all, in Nepal, we have the Greater Himalayas and Middle Himalayas. Okay, so in Greater Himalayas, we have some important peaks, that is Dholagiri, Annapurna, Mansalu, Everest, Makalu. All these are important peaks of Greater Himalayas. And in Middle Himalayas, we have disjointed ranges, that is disjointed ranges. So what are the disjointed ranges of Middle Himalayas present in Nepal? That is Dudhwa, Muri, Churia. So these three form a part of Middle Himalayas. This is with respect to mountains. With respect to rivers, we have the Ghagra river. Okay, it has two headward tributaries. One is Kali river, another one is Karnali river. This Karnali river, it originates at Gurla Mandhata peak, which is near the Mansarovar lake. And another river, that is Kali river, which is also called the Sarda river, it originates from India-Nepal border. and because of this there has been border disputes in the past in the Kalapani region. Okay, so this Kali river or Sarda river is used to demarcate the border between India and Nepal. So with respect to river, this Kali river is important. Kali and Karnali combine to form the Ghagra river. Okay, next is the Gandak river. So the Gandak river, it has two headward tributaries. One is Kali Gandaki, another one is Trishuli. These two rivers, they originate from Nepal and they enter India as Gandak, and this Gandak joins the main Ganga near Patna. Okay. Next river is the Kosi river. Kosi river, it is also called as Saptakoshi. So when it is in Nepal, it forms 7 streams. There are 7 streams and they unite, and there are 7 streams and they unite to form 3 streams. And once these 3 streams unite, then only we get the Kosi river. That is why the Kosi river volume is so huge and it is called as the sorrow of Bihar. So this Kosi river, it joins Ganga near Bhagalpur in Bihar. Okay, so these 3 rivers, that is, we have the Ghagra river, we have the Gandak river and the Kosi river which passes through Nepal. So that's it for today. We'll see some previous year questions. In India, extended producer responsibility was introduced as an important feature in which of the following? A. The Biomedical Waste Rules 1998, the Recycled Plastic Rules 1999, the E-Waste Management Rules 2011, Food Safety and Standard Regulations 2011. The answer is E-Waste Management Rules. In that, extended producer responsibility was introduced. Next question. The economic cost of food grains to the Food Corporation of India is minimum support price and bonus, if any, paid to the farmer plus what? That is economic cost. Economic cost is equal to MSP plus bonus to farmer plus what? That is the question. Is it transportation cost only, interest cost only, procurement incidentals and distribution cost, procurement incidentals and charges for godowns? See, FCI is even responsible for procuring and it will also distribute it to the states. So the answer is C, procurement incidentals and distribution cost. None of these options talk about distribution cost. That is why C is the right answer. If you see here, we have economic cost, we have the procurement cost, alright. Then we have the distribution cost and procurement price. Okay, so procurement price is what price they purchase from the farmer. Procurement cost, to do this procurement they are incurring some cost, that is procurement cost. Procurement prices, if they are buying rice at 10 rupees per kilo, then that is procurement price. To do this procurement, they are doing some expenses, they are incurring some expenses, right? So that is procurement cost. So we have the labor and transport charges. We go to the farmer, someone is needed to carry the sacks of rice from the farmer to the truck of the Food Corporation of India. So these things are coming under the procurement cost. Then we have the distribution cost. So that is why the answer is C. Last question. In the context of any country, which one of the following would be considered as part of its social capital? A. The proportion of literates in the population. B. The stock of its buildings, other infrastructure and machines. C. The size of population in the working age group. D. The level of mutual trust and harmony in the society. So this is human capital. This is also human capital. Social capital is the level of trust and harmony in the society. Okay, so that's it for today's discussion. Thank you. This is Indumati signing off. Follow us on all these social media platforms.